WrestleMania is supposed to be built around its closer, the match that ends the night, the one WWE puts all its chips on. But time and time again, something happens earlier on the card that completely overshadows everything that comes after it. Today on Ring Collapse, we're counting down 7 WrestleMania undercard matches that absolutely buried their own main event. Number 7, WrestleMania 18, The Rock vs. Hulk Hogan. The actual main event was Triple H vs. Chris Jericho for the Undisputed Championship, a technically solid match. But the problem? Nobody cared, because an hour earlier, 68,000 fans in Toronto had just witnessed something they'll never forget. Hogan, a villain at the time, walked out and the crowd lost their minds. They wanted to cheer him. The Rock and Hogan read the room, threw out the plan, and called the whole thing on the fly. The result was pure electricity. By the time the world title match started, fans were literally walking out of the building. Jericho himself has talked about how impossible it was to follow that moment.
The main event of the show was Hogan and Rock. Because they said, how do you follow Hogan and Rock? And Triple H, we couldn't follow it. We just couldn't. And you could see the air go out of the room. That's a match I've never watched it back, because I remember being kind of disappointed in it.
The crowd told you everything you needed to know. Number 6, WrestleMania 21, Kurt Angle vs. Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 21 was built to crown 2 new stars, John Cena and Batista. Batista beating Triple H in the main event did exactly what it was supposed to do. It was fine, functional. But earlier that night, with no title on the line, Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels had a dream match between 2 of the greatest of all time. Angle's amateur-based brutality against Michaels' heart and resilience. The finish, with Michaels fighting out of the ankle lock for what felt like an eternity before finally tapping, is one of the best pieces of storytelling in WrestleMania history. No championship involved. Didn't need one. That match is what people remember when they think about WrestleMania 21. Number 5, WrestleMania 7, Ultimate Warrior vs. Randy Savage. The main event was Hulk Hogan reclaiming the title from Sergeant Slaughter in a match built around Gulf War jingoism that even at the time felt exploitative and hollow, predictable from the opening bell. But earlier that night, Warrior and Savage had a retirement match that nobody wanted to end. Savage dropped 5 consecutive elbow drops and Warrior still kicked out. The crowd couldn't believe it. And then, after Savage lost and Sherry attacked him, Miss Elizabeth came out of the crowd, cleared the ring, and reunited with the battered Savage. People were in tears. Legitimate tears. That moment carries more emotional weight than anything Hogan did that entire night. It's not even close. Number 4, WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart vs. Owen Hart. Here's what makes this one truly wild. Bret Hart wrestled twice at WrestleMania 10, once in the opener against his brother Owen, and once in the main event against Yokozuna for the WWF Championship. The opening match was arguably the greatest technical wrestling clinic in WrestleMania history. 2 brothers, real jealousy, real stakes, and a genuinely shocking clean pin by Owen over the man who would win the world title later that same night. Then the main event arrived, Bret vs. Yokozuna, and it was hampered by Yokozuna's limited conditioning. It ended with Yokozuna appearing to simply fall off the second rope, and Bret rolling him up for the win. Bret Hart was the best performer on the card that night. His best match just wasn't the main event. Number 3, WrestleMania 3, Randy Savage vs. Ricky Steamboat. This one might be the most important match on this entire list, not just because it was better than the main event, but because it changed what wrestling could be. Hogan vs. Andre is one of the most famous matches ever held, but famous and good are 2 very different things. By the time WrestleMania 3 happened, Andre's body was failing him. The match was slow and mechanical. What Savage? WrestleMania 13, Bret Hart vs. Steve Austin. WrestleMania 13's main event was The Undertaker vs. Psycho Sid. Slow, lumbering, and largely forgotten. The match that WrestleMania 13 will be remembered for forever is Bret Hart and Steve Austin in a submission match with Ken Shamrock as referee. This is the match that launched the Attitude Era. This is the match that turned Austin into a mainstream icon. It's one of the only times in history a double turn, where the babyface and heel completely swap alignment, has worked perfectly and organically. Hart came in as the good guy and left as the villain. Austin came in as the villain and left as the most popular man in wrestling. The visual of a bloody Austin refusing to submit, passing out in the sharpshooter rather than quitting, is one of the defining images in the history of this business. The main event was a footnote. Number 1, WrestleMania 25, The Undertaker vs. Shawn Michaels. Triple H vs. Randy Orton was the main event of WrestleMania 25. The feud was violent and deeply personal. Orton had attacked Stephanie McMahon and made it as brutal as a storyline could get at that time. The blow-off should have been a war. Michaels and The Undertaker had just delivered what many, including Bret Hart, Triple H, Jim Ross, and Arn Anderson, consider the single greatest match in professional wrestling history. 30 minutes, no wasted motion, genuine fear that the streak might end. It won Match of the Year from both Pro Wrestling Illustrated and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. WWE itself later ranked it at the top of its list of the 100 best matches to see before you die. That building already knew that, and so does everyone watching this. That's our list. Drop a comment below. Which undercard match do you think most embarrassed its WrestleMania main event? If you want more content like this, hit subscribe and ring the bell. This is Wrinkle Apps. We don't just watch wrestling, we understand it.